Do you know, in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, there once existed an empire so powerful that it felt untouchable. Valyria. This wasn't just another kingdom, it was a civilization built on dragons, fire, and control over nature itself. Dragons were not rare creatures here, they were the foundation of Valyrian power. The dragon lords didn't just ride them, they formed deep bonds, passing dragons down through generations like inherited power. These dragons grew massive, lived long lives, and were trained for war. With their help, Valyria conquered vast lands, destroyed armies in seconds, and made sure no one could challenge them. The 40 dragon lord families ruled everything, each backed by their own dragons, making Valyria a force no kingdom could stand against. But controlling dragons was not simple. It required knowledge, bloodline, and discipline. The Valyrians used ancient magic to bond with dragons, and this connection made them different from the rest of the world. However, dragons were still creatures of fire and instinct. As Valyria grew more powerful, their reliance on both dragons and the 14 flames increased. They used blood magic to control the volcanoes and maintain balance. But this balance was fragile. Over time, strange things began happening. Dragons became restless, more aggressive, harder to control. Some refused commands, others showed signs of fear, as if they sensed something coming. At the same time, the land itself became unstable. Earthquakes, heat surges, and unusual eruptions started increasing. These weren't normal events, nature was reacting, but the dragon lords ignored it, believing nothing could threaten them. Among all the families, the Targaryens were not the most powerful, but they had something others didn't. A warning. Daenerys Targaryen, known as Daenerys the Dreamer, saw a clear vision of Valyria's destruction. She saw dragons dying in fire, the sky burning, and the entire land collapsing. Her father, Aegon Targaryen, believed her and made the decision to leave Valyria. He took his family, their dragons, and everything they had to Dragonstone. At that time, the Targaryens had only a few dragons compared to other powerful families. But those dragons became the key to their survival, while other dragon lords stayed in Valyria with dozens of dragons, trusting their power. The Targaryens walked away, choosing safety over pride. Then came the doom of Valyria. The moment everything ended, the 14 flames erupted all at once, causing massive destruction. The land broke apart, lava flooded cities, and the sky filled with ash and fire. Dragons, despite being creatures of fire, could not survive something this extreme. Most of the dragons in Valyria were trapped in the chaos, burned, crushed, or lost as the land itself collapsed into the sea. The bond between dragon lords and dragons meant that when one died, the other often followed. Entire families were wiped out along with their dragons. In just a short time, hundreds of dragons, maybe even more, were gone. The creatures that once made Valyria unstoppable disappeared almost completely. After the doom, only a few dragons remained in the world, and all of them belonged to the Targaryens on Dragonstone. They became the last dragon lords, not because they were the strongest, but because they survived. These surviving dragons would later help them conquer Westeros and build a new empire. But even those dragons didn't last forever. Over generations, their numbers slowly declined until dragons eventually disappeared from the world. The doom of Valyria didn't just destroy an empire, it almost wiped out dragons entirely, and it proved one thing clearly: no matter how powerful a creature or civilization is, if it stands on unstable ground, its end can come suddenly and leave nothing behind except ash and legend. But history never truly ends with ashes, it only waits for the right moment to rise again. Far away from the ruins of Valyria, on the lonely island of Dragonstone, three figures stood at the center of that quiet storm. Aegon Targaryen, along with his sister wives Visenya Targaryen and Rhaenys Targaryen, bound not just by blood, but by destiny, and with them were the last great dragons. Valyrian, ridden by Aegon, a creature so massive its shadow could swallow cities, Vagar, fierce and battle-hardened under Visenya, and Meraxes, swift and deadly in the skies with Rhaenys. The world believed dragons were gone, that their fire had died with Valyria, but on Dragonstone, that fire was only growing stronger, waiting, watching, and preparing for something far greater than anyone could imagine.